So one of my favorite things to say to students when they arrive, thinking that they are going to learn to give a massage, I say, welcome. You're going to now learn how to get really good at receiving. And that is aloha. Because when you can receive love with no judgment, with no concerns, you then become a very good giver. Because when you can receive unconditionally, you can also learn to give unconditionally.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Finding Equilibrium Show. Delighted to be here, delighted that you're here, and delighted that my guest today is the wonderful Mette Sorensen. Now, what can I say about Mette? I mean, I met Mette recently on her wonderful high spirits retreat, and we'll talk more about that. But Mette is an author, a teacher, and a Ka Huna body worker, the owner and creator of the high spirits retreat, the Tivoli retreat. I mean, it feels like you've lived forever when I look at the things that you've actually done. But welcome, Mette. How are you today? And where are you speaking to us from?
Thank you very much, Lawrence. It's a real honor and privilege to be part of your podcast. This is my first ever podcast, and I'm casting from Kinkin. So that's the Kapi lands that we honor and appreciate. And it's the Noosa hinterlands in Queensland.
In Queensland, wonderful. But clearly from your accent, you're not from Queensland. So I'd love you to briefly introduce yourself and just kind of share like how all of this came to be. I'd love you to take us back and tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Where to start? 1965 model. I was born into a picture-perfect family. And then when I turned 25 towards my Saturn return, I met Mette Sorenson, my husband. And we wanted to go on an adventure together. And so for 28 years, we lived in Denmark. For 28 years, we've been here now. Wow. So in the first part of my life in Denmark, my passions were holistic healing. So I started dancing when I was 2 years of age. And I started teaching when I was 14 to the community of creativity, dance and movement. So my inspiration and first teacher was Helge Iversen, one from Denmark. So I'm really an islander. Denmark has 100 islands lived on. And so, you know, tuning in down the track in my story, learning the Hawaiian, New Zealand, Polynesian kind of bodywork, really related to my soul, hence me growing up on an island. And another part of me is that I love and appreciate nature and people. People is my passion. So facilitation of body, mind, heart, and spirit is what I always have done and always probably will do.
Amazing. So that kind of journey, and it's interesting how the Ka Huna, and I'd love you to briefly talk about Ka Huna and the Huna Principles. And you know, I had the great privilege of spending 6 days at the High Spirits retreat just recently, and I would say it's one of the most transformational things that I've done, and I've done a lot of things. It was really interesting, but one of the things that really interested me were those Huna Principles, you know, that underpin everything. And I'd love you to briefly outline those and share what they are.
Yeah, well, that is a big part of what we work with. So the 7 principles is related to our mind and our energy spirit. So the first one is Ike, the world is what you think it is. It's about being aware of what you want. The next one is Kala, means that there are no limits and actually that everything is one. So it's about being free. Makia, energy flows where attention goes. Be focused, because this is about the law of attraction. So whatever you focus on expands. So don't focus on a pink elephant. Oh, sorry. Please don't. So yeah, just a little invitation to see how that works. Manava, now is the moment of power. So this is about now is the creation, learning from the past, getting excited about the future, and then learning the divine principle of being present, which I guess all philosophies has in them. Aloha, love is to be happy with, is the principle that talks about both criticism and blessing, both love and hate. So it is the ultimate principle of love is the only healer. So that's aloha. Mana, all power comes from within, and that is the principle that talks about I'm my own best healer, so I can get help and support from other people. However, all power comes from within, so it's about me speaking my truth, me feeling into who I am as a human being, and how I can build my confidence and my mana, my energy to heal and to be fully me.
Love it.
Yeah, go on.
No, I just said I love that. Yes.
Yeah. And the last principle is pono. Effectiveness is the measure of truth. So that's about being creative and being positive. So looking at the pros and cons in every situation. If I do this, I can go this way. If I go that, I can go that way. And then at the end, take the best and leave the rest behind. So you really just use what is effective for you.
Yeah, I mean, they're wonderful principles to live by. And I'd love you to talk about how you help people apply them practically in their kind of day-to-day living, because I know that underpins the bodywork training that you do. And I think you've trained something like 5,000 bodyworkers now, which is an incredible number of people. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible number of people, but everything is underpinned by those principles, and you really bring them to life. So that kind of practical for people who are listening to this and maybe unfamiliar with some of that terminology, helping them to turn them from something which is very concept and kind of nice to have to something where we can really live them every day because they make sense.
Yeah, they're very basic, you know, and they're not really any religion or anything. It's founded originally by Kahili King, and we've been using them. I learned them in Denmark in 1991 or 1989. I think they were starting to roll into the spiritual realm. So how we use them is in a concept of a body, mind, spirit experience, really. So because we're a school of massage, mostly teaching Hawaiian style massages like Ka Huna bodywork, Hawaiian massage, Hawaiian heartworks, lomi lomi. We then also use them in teaching the practitioners how to facilitate healing. So, and also in my leadership training and facilitators training, obviously I'm also holding space for them to teach the principles in their way. So using them both for your personal self and at home and in your community and at your work situation. I have multiple ways of doing it. So I don't know where to start, Lawrence. With the students, we introduce them every day. Sometimes we relate them to when you come up to high spirits and you're going to be away like you for 6 days, we introduce the principles to you in order for you to cope with being away, to live in nature all of a sudden, to have different foods, to see different people, to share a room with 3 other people potentially, to wake up with the birds and the kookaburras and the sheep, you know, and to be away from your phone and your work. And so basically setting them up to be aware of what your needs are with the EK principles. Ask yourself the question, what is it that you really want in your life? You know, so you have 6 days to contemplate. So, you know, if I went through each principle, there would be a question for each of them. Then we also use them in a physical sense where there's exercises and we relate them to, you know, but did you realize when you came up to learn a massage technique that it wasn't really about that?
It's kind of interesting because it occurred to me, like I went for one reason, but I got a completely different experience. Like you learn a massage technique, but you learn about yourself in a very deeper way, and you learn about how to be with other people in a different way. That's why it really inspired me, because it's not just talking about holistic living. It actually was experiencing holistic living, and people were different and behaved differently around it. And the massage was, I guess, like a microcosm of life. It was a really an interesting kind of experience.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was after the 6 days. And I guess the challenge is always, how do you bring that aloha principle into everyday life, you know, to really be able to spread that that unconditional love. And certainly that's what I've been thinking about since I came back. And I know that's something you've been thinking about for a long time. So
well, I like that question that you just pushed then, or asked then, is that, well, how do you put aloha into your life, or how do you work with it? So one of my favorite things to say to students when they arrive, thinking that they are going to learn to give a massage. You see, we attract a lot of carers and a lot of people who want to learn a skill so they can support the family and maybe a new technique as a therapist. So I say, welcome. You're going to now learn how to get really good at receiving. And that is aloha. Because when you can receive love with no judgment, with no concerns, you then become a very good giver. Because when you can receive unconditionally, you can also learn to give unconditionally. And we would like to say that the Hawaiian Polynesian bodywork really does come from our heart. And so by learning to love yourself and to learn to receive, you then have more gifts to give.
I love that. I think that really kind of hits a nail on its head. And of course the part of my brain, what goes through my brain is, because it makes sense, but how can you do that? How can you trust so that you can learn to receive? Because it does come down to trust, doesn't it? If you're going to surrender and really experience, you have to trust.
If that's a question, how to trust, I would say what we would love to provide here at High Spirits is a lived experience based on the Danish high school concept that has been going for hundreds of years, where you actually come to a school as adults to live there for 3, 6, 9 months, a whole year, or maybe sometimes 2 years, where you're living together, you're learning, but you're not only learning when you're in a classroom, you're learning when you're helping in the kitchen, you're learning when you're in your room sharing with people, sharing a toilet and a shower. You're learning with people when we have different concepts of philosophy or technique being presented. You're learning when you're swapping a massage with a different personality to yourself. So a lived experience will give you confidence about not only learning the massage and becoming an excellent practitioner, but also dealing with life. And I don't know how you went when you came back to your family, but you might have changed a little.
Definitely. No, I changed a lot. Just moving on, because you've touched on something about learning and experiential learning, and it was very much, the program I experienced was very much a whole experience. And having read your book, and I just kind of show that, it was interesting having experience, because you use a lot of play and fun to teach. And in the book you outline a lot of those methods. But that's something that I think we can all benefit. And I'd love you to talk about how you use fun, how you use play to really teach people new skills, new ways of thinking, new behaviors.
One of my favorite things to say is people learn best by having fun. Because when we laugh and when we share a laugh, we can relax. And when you're relaxed, you're able to then take in new, whether it's knowledge or ways of life or whatever it might be. So that's why. And also, I guess, you know, I do still pride myself in being from Denmark. And if you look at the statistics, I don't know for how many years, but Denmark has been nominated as the happiest country in the world.
Really?
And I've always been curious about, well, why is that? And I'm noticing that we play a lot. We play at parties, we play at birthdays, we play at school. It's all about group dynamics, and it's all about creating community. And so that's part of my core, you know, and it's part of my belief is that if we can have fun and laugh, and as me as a facilitator, if I'm relaxed, you know, what is it they say? A relaxed captain has a relaxed crew, you know, and I like to say a relaxed facilitator has a relaxed group. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a huge amount of success. And one thing that struck me was how that fun came through, because it was uncomfortable in places because not everybody likes to play and do some of those things. And I guess that comes back to your earlier point about feeling that you can trust, so that you can receive and you can play and have fun. But the whole process from beginning to end was really interesting, because there were 20 people on my program, and I learned everyone's names very quickly, and it was really an interesting game. Yeah, I'd love you to share some of the tools that you use to really create connection and community, and within those groups, within the courses you run and the other programs that you run, because they're all very helpful at bringing people together and helping people to relax and helping people to learn and to experience.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I think it's important as a facilitator, as a leader, as a parent, whoever you are, to act as the very first check in with yourself, you know. What do I need? Where am I right now? And then the next part is, where is my team at? Are they ready? Are we ready? And once the core is set, we can then expand out to, what about my group? So part of my strategy is to work in a circle if possible. And that means I do a little check-in, and I like to check in with me. Okay, what do I need? Oh, I need to check in. For me personally, I usually feel more relaxed when I know where my team is at, because then I know, okay, one's menstruating, one's got a headache, another one is feeling fit for fight, and another one is pumped to get going. And maybe the next one is like, I already know everyone because I've spoken to them all, you know. So that's my first check-in, really. And then we go into learning about the people, and it's both body language, it's conversations, it's those little check-ins. So I guess in your group, we were just saying, hey, I'm Mette and I'm from Kinkin. And then, hi, I'm Lawrence, I'm from Sydney. And we just did a very quick check-in. And then next is we add the names, and we have these name games that we do. So people say their name, they add another dimension to their name. And then we basically, within 10 minutes, use group dynamics and walking around amongst each other, having different strategies of saying hello, which is a very simple Danish concept. So we walk around, we say hello with our eyes. We walk around, we do a high five. So first it's like distance. First, I don't touch you. Next, you know, I've got eye contact. Next, we might do a high five. We might do a handshake. And if we're really confident, we might do a hug. But that is, again, like, we notice where the group's at. We look at the room, how they're all out in the room. So when I'm teaching, I'm not just looking at, I'm going to say hello to Lawrence. I step back and I go, who is taking a drink of water? Who is going to the toilet all the time? So there's those interesting dynamics. And we notice then, go, oh, there's one of the helpers that might go and check in with Lawrence, who is uncomfortable, you know, sorry to use the name, but so, you know, that. And then once the energy is relaxed within me, within the team, it's magic, because it radiates out to everyone else and they can feel at home.
I really love that. So you start with yourself, because you've got to, and would that be literally, you ask yourself the question, what do I need? Like, what do I need right now? So literally you do that, then you move to your team, and then you widen that out. And
that's one of the secrets.
No, it's amazing. And what happens when things go wrong? Like when there are people who are out of balance, who are in need of additional support. So how do you manage that as a facilitator?
look, I've learned a lot over the years since, teaching since when I was 14. I had my first certificate in 75, so I'm an old one in the game. However, what I've learned over time, to answer your question, is to stay calm. And also the other part is don't take things personal and then go for action. However, of course, I've made many mistakes, and as they say, when you're successful in what you do, it's because you've had many mistakes. So I've definitely been swimming on deep water and not being able to breathe. But the strategy is to stay calm and then check in with those people what their needs are, and then have conversation. Or if I can't do it, if I'm in a situation where I'm in a group and I'm leading, I might go to a helper and they might go and assess the situation. So it's difficult to answer because there's all these scenarios that happen.
Yeah, but I guess what I hear you say is you've got to be present. The more present you are, then the more you can decide what to do in that situation.
And also, as a leader or facilitator, I think it's important to find out who you are, because some might be an extra, like I'm an extreme extrovert, but I also work with extreme introvert people, because we then can mirror the different personalities in the group. And so we're using our different skills by being aware of who we are. So, that's part of the training, is to find out, who are you? How do you gain energy as a leader? How do you gain energy as a parent, as a manager, as a teacher?
Yes. Yeah. That's really interesting. I guess one question that comes to mind, again, thinking about it from a facilitator and from a leadership point of view, a lot of people are going to have team members. And I think one thing that you did extremely well is you created a very respectful environment, but still push people out of their comfort zone. I remember, for example, the Indian night, where the task was to eat with your hands, and a lot of people found that very uncomfortable. When's the point when how far do you go, I guess, is my question, because a lot of people are listening to this and I think, well, I've got these teams and it's like, okay, I'm just going to leave them, even though it feels that they would benefit from doing something in the real world outside of that learning environment. Sometimes we don't push ourselves or our people as far as they could do. But I'd love you to talk to that as to what are the limits, how far can you go with different people?
Yeah, well, that's a very, very good question, because that is where we don't know where people's backgrounds play in to set different boundaries. So the example of our Indian night is something that came about 25 years ago, when I actually worked with my husband's sister, Sang. She lived in India and still lives in India. And she noticed that there was actually quite a number of people in Australia who naturally, firstly, eat with a fork or with their fingers only. And so because Australia has got so many different cultures, we thought, well, it's a important part of learning different cultures is also food, So we put on this Indian night, and she brought forward, let's eat with our fingers. And of course, us Danes, maybe English people, I was challenged to the core of my being, because I've been told, like, babies then might learn how to use knife and fork and spoon from before they can walk. So, so for our culture, it's like a massive challenge. And last year on our 1 and 2, we had an Indian guy, Chris, from India, and he loved it, and he was part of then said, oh, Chris, can you give us a few hints of how to eat with our fingers, and so we're making it relaxed, and we're making it, fun. So we play Indian music, we give you a bindi, and we also pay our respect to the Indian culture. So they're not thinking, oh, why are they trying to put on an Indian show? And I'm thinking, going to the bakery, why are they selling Danishes? That's not what they do in Denmark. So Australia has taught me to be relaxed about accepting other cultures. And that means I've got to get out of my comfort zone from time to time and explore where my limits are. And that's part of growing my own confidence and awareness about other people.
Yes, no, I think that's great. And I guess if people really don't want to do it, and I know you've had experiences where people didn't want to eat with their hands, then you just accept that, you know, so and let them do what makes them comfortable. So
just another point too, Lawrence, is working with body workers and being a school of massage. You know, when I arrived to Australia, they were very, very different limitations as in what you can do with the body and how you can massage the body. So I also had to learn how to drape the body in a very different way to how we drape in Europe, or back then anyway. That has changed now. So be very respectful and mindful of people's body issues, because that's a beautiful example. I guess I can't say how many percent of the society on the planet have body issues, but I know that 80% or more who come to high spirits have had some form of body issues. And so by learning to move your body, by learning to love your body, by learning to nourish your body, and a massage skill by receiving and giving and having to touch someone else's body from your heart is huge limitation. But it's also such a gift to then get confident and competent with that, learning to, you know, what do you call it? Love your own body, you know, your own, we call your body the temple of your soul. So by learning to receive body work, you know, or going to just go and receive a Ka Huna massage, because it will give you transformation. Going to learn it will give you even more transformation. So I guess that is a massive limitation that people has to go through, and then learn to love themselves through learning that skill.
Yeah, no, I love what you say. We're almost out of time, but for people who are not familiar with Ka Huna Massage, I'd love you to expand on what it is, how it differs from other styles of massage, you know, and there are a number of different Hawaiian type massages, but very, very briefly, for people who are listening to this thinking, I've never heard of Ka Huna, or I've never had a Hawaiian massage, and it is an incredible experience. I'd love you to share how it fits in and the type of experience that people will have.
In short, Ka Huna Massage is our temple massage, and it is an experience for your body, your mind, and your soul. And what we often say is, Ka Huna Massage is beautiful to watch, wonderful to give, and magical to receive. So every time you have a Ka Huna massage, it will be a different experience, because part of that will reflect if it's something that's going through in your physical body, or you're going through an emotional time of rite of passage, you're grieving, you're getting married, you're giving birth, you're, you know, going through this kind of rite of passage, or it's a spiritual experience where you might come into leaving your body, you might do some astral massage, or you might get some goosebumps, or have a dreaming where you're all of a sudden have an idea. When I've massaged my husband over the years, often that is where he's been designing the massage tables, you know, or he had an idea, or I have a massage and it's all of a sudden it's like, now I know I've got to do Aloha days, or make a student reunion. Was last year. I went, during a massage, I had 2 people massage me, and it was like, next year, High Spirits Retreat turns 20 years, we're going to have a student reunion.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's it.
So it really it helps to, it helps you to experience and to be creative. No, it's a wonderful experience. We're almost out of time, so the last question I always I ask all of my guests is, this is the Finding Equilibrium show, and it is all about living holistically in balance. And what you do is very much provide people with many tools to live holistically in balance. But I'd love you to share what those words mean to you specifically.
Yeah, I like to divide it into do something every day for your body to achieve better health. Because when you do something for your body, whether it's both exercise, eating well, then you come into a better mindset so that you can then do something for your mind, whether it's meditation or you read a quote or you have a book that inspires you or you listen to your podcast, you know, and then something for the spirit, whatever that might be. It could be a self-care ritual. It's a very individual experience. Listen to some special music, you know, connect with other people. You know, it's just, yeah, basically commit to do something every day, and then maybe go and have a Ka Huna Massage once a month, go dancing once a week, whatever your interests are. You know, some people need to read books or be creative. So I believe in the body, mind, soul concept, very holistic approach.
And do things that give you joy every day. Yeah, whatever they would be. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. Mette, I know you're super busy, and I just want to say thank you for spending time with us today and for sharing. And I'd like to acknowledge you for the amazing work you've done over the years. I mean, it's incredible to hear your story and how you moved from Denmark, were inspired, and then created such an amazing number of programs that have really impacted so many people's lives. And when you think about it, it's 5,000 students. Of course, all of those people have treated lots of other people, and you can see how it creates this very positive ripple effect, you know, throughout the world. And where can people find out more about High Spirits and about the work you do, and get in touch with you?
See if I can get you to laugh. Well, you can find us under mettesinstitute.com.au or highspiritsretreat.com.au online. We do have a YouTube channel as well that we're building, and our websites and everything like that is being redesigned and looked at the moment. But yeah, that's where you can find us. And we do also have facilitators in different parts of the country and the world that teach Heartworks Lomi Lomi. So go and visit us and get in touch. We're more than happy to support your journey, whether you want to go to Tivoli retreat to have a yin experience of doing nothing, or you come to High Spirits retreat, our yang retreat, to get activated, or go to our massage clinics where our people are practicing the Ka Huna Massage all over the place.
Amazing.
So go and check us out at High Spirits retreat.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mette. You have a wonderful day, and thank you everyone for your time and for your attention, and we'll see you soon. You take care.
And thank you, Lawrence, for the opportunity. I really believe in what you do with the equilibrium for everybody. Thank
you so much, and I really appreciate you saying that. And you know, thank you for the amazing work that you do. So you take care now. See you next time. Bye, everyone.